Hey there, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I've got some juicy tips for you on how to grow okra seeds like a pro. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, growing okra is a fantastic addition to any garden. It's not only scrumptious, but it's also packed with nutrients, making it a go-to veggie for health nuts. So, let's dive into these tips and get your green thumbs going. Tip number 1. Choose the right location. First things first, choose the right spot. Okra loves soaking up the sun, so pick a spot in your garden that gets at least 6 hours of direct sunlight per day. Good drainage is also important, so make sure the spot you choose has excellent drainage. But wait, there's more. When selecting a location for your okra plants, keep in mind the following factors. Soil pH. Okra thrives in slightly acidic soil, with a pH between 6.0 and 6.8. You can easily check your soil pH with a soil test kit, which can be found at your local gardening center or online. If your soil is too alkaline, add some sulfur or peat moss to lower the pH. Temperature. Okra is a warm weather crop that flourishes in temperatures between 75 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. If you live in a cold climate, it's best to wait until the soil has warmed up before planting okra. Wind protection. Okra plants are vulnerable to wind damage, especially when they're young. To avoid wind damage, plant your okra in a sheltered area, like near a fence or building. Spacing. Okra plants can grow up to 6 feet tall, so give them enough room to spread out and circulate air. Leave at least 18 inches of space between each plant. By keeping these factors in mind when selecting a location for your okra plants, you'll be on your way to a bountiful harvest of delicious and healthy okra. Tip number 2. Prepare the soil. Let's talk about preparing the soil to give your plants the best chance of success. First things first, grab a garden fork or tiller and loosen the soil to a depth of 8 to 10 inches. It's like giving the soil a nice massage to break up any compacted areas and promote drainage. Plus, it gives the roots plenty of room to stretch and grow. Now, let's talk nutrients. You can test your soil to check its pH level and nutrient levels to determine if any amendments are necessary. Adding some compost or aged manure can do wonders for soil fertility and structure. So mix in a layer of 2 to 3 inches before planting. If your soil test indicates a nutrient deficiency, don't worry. Just fertilize with a balanced fertilizer. About 1 to 2 pounds per 100 square feet of soil should do the trick. Be sure to read the instructions and follow the application rates and timing. Once you've got those seeds in the ground, you'll want to mulch around the base of the plants with some organic material like straw or leaves. This will help keep the soil moist, suppress those pesky weeds, and regulate soil temperature. Tip number 3. Plant at the right time. Here is another tip on how to grow your very own delicious okra. It is all about timing, because let's face it, timing is everything in life. And that goes for planting okra too. So, when is the best time to plant okra? Well, first things first, okra is a warm weather crop. So you'll want to wait until the soil has heated up to at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit before planting those little seeds. This usually happens around 2 weeks after the last frost date, which can vary depending on where you live. But don't worry, there are plenty of local gardening guides and the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone map to help you figure out the best time to plant in your area. Now, if you're wondering why timing is so important, it's because planting okra at the right time ensures that your plants have enough time to grow and produce a bountiful harvest. And let's be real, who doesn't want a bountiful harvest of okra? Another thing to consider is the seed germination period. Okra seeds typically sprout within 7 to 14 days of planting, so make sure to give your plants enough time to mature and produce fruit before the end of the growing season. Depending on the variety, okra plants can take anywhere from 50 to 80 days to reach maturity. If you live in an area with a long growing season, you can even plant okra in succession to extend your harvest. Just plant new seeds every 2 to 3 weeks throughout the summer to ensure a steady supply of fresh okra. So, to sum it all up, planting okra at the right time is key to a successful harvest. Make sure the soil is warm enough. Consult your local gardening guide or the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone map. And keep in mind the seed germination period and the variety of okra you're planting. Tip number 4. Plant the seeds correctly. Next, we're talking about planting okra seeds. So, you want to make sure you're doing it right and that your plants will grow and thrive. Here are some tips to get you started. First off, you want to make sure you choose high-quality okra seeds that are in good condition. Don't go for the ones that look like they've been through the ringer. Pick plump, firm seeds that are free of cracks or damage. When it comes to planting depth, you'll want to plant your okra seeds about 1 inch deep in the soil. This gives them the right amount of depth to germinate properly while still being close enough to the surface to get the sunlight and warmth they need. Spacing is important too. You don't want your okra plants to be crowded and unhappy. Plant your seeds about 2 to 3 inches apart to allow for proper growth and air circulation. And if you're planting multiple rows, make sure to space them out about 3 to 4 feet apart. After planting your okra seeds, be sure to water the soil gently to keep it moist. But don't overdo it. Too much moisture can cause the seeds to rot before they have a chance to sprout. And finally, once your okra plants have emerged, you can apply a balanced fertilizer to help promote healthy growth. Just make sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions for application rates and timing. Tip number 5. Water regularly. This tip is all about keeping your okra plants happy and healthy by giving them the right amount of water. Okra needs a lot of water to grow, so don't skimp on watering. Aim to water deeply once or twice a week, depending on how much rainfall your area gets. But don't overdo it either. Make sure to keep the soil moist, but not drowning in water. You don't want to turn your okra bed into a swimming pool. When you do water your okra, make sure to give it a good soak. Deep watering helps the roots grow deep, making them more resistant to drought and other stresses. Shallow watering, on the other hand, can leave your plants thirsty and vulnerable. Keep an eye on the weather and adjust your watering schedule accordingly. In hot, dry conditions, you may need to water more frequently to keep your plants hydrated. And speaking of timing, try to water your okra in the early morning or late afternoon when it's cooler. Watering during the middle of the day can lead to water loss through evaporation and increase the risk of disease. If you're not sure when to water, stick your finger into the soil. If it feels dry, it's time to give your plants a drink. If it's still moist, wait a day or two before watering again. Tip number 6. Fertilize appropriately. The next tip is all about fertilizing your okra plants. Yes, you heard it right, we're going to talk about feeding your veggies like they're humans. Okra is a bit of a high-maintenance plant. It's a heavy feeder, meaning it needs lots of nutrients to grow healthy and produce optimal fruit. So, it's important to fertilize with a balanced fertilizer, 10 by 10 by 10, every 4 to 6 weeks. Think of it as feeding your okra a well-balanced meal. Now, hold your horses. Before you run off to the store to buy fertilizer, take a look at your soil. If you've amended it with compost or manure, your okra may not need additional fertilizer. That's right, maybe your plants are already full and happy like they've just had a buffet. But, if you do need to fertilize, there are a few things to consider. First, you can add a slow-release fertilizer at the time of planting or amend the soil with compost or aged manure, which will provide a steady source of nutrients. Just like when you eat, you don't want to have too much, so it's important to find the right balance. When it comes to fertilizer type, go for a balanced fertilizer, 10 by 10 by 10. Or organic fertilizers like compost or fish emulsion. Think of it as giving your plants the right nutrients like you take your vitamins to stay healthy. Now, let's talk about the frequency and rate of application. Fertilize your okra plants every 4 to 6 weeks throughout the growing season. And apply 1 pound of fertilizer per 100 square feet of soil. But, make sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions for application rates and timing. Just like how you would follow a recipe for cooking. Lastly, just like you need to check your health once in a while. It's important to test your soil periodically to determine if your okra plants are receiving the necessary nutrients. If your soil is deficient in a particular nutrient, You may need to adjust your fertilizer application accordingly. It's like your plants are going to the doctor for a checkup. Tip number 7. Mulch around the plants. Now, you might be thinking, what in the world is mulching and why do I need to do it? Well, let me tell you, mulching is like giving your plants a cozy blanket to snuggle up in. It helps keep the soil moist and prevents those pesky weeds from taking over your garden. So, here's what you need to do. Grab some organic mulch like straw or shredded leaves and spread it around the base of your plants. But wait, there's more. If you're specifically growing okra plants, listen up for some extra details. When it comes to selecting your mulch, go for organic options like straw, hay, or shredded leaves. They break down over time, which adds organic matter to the soil and improves the soil structure. Plus, they're great for suppressing those annoying weeds. Now, don't go overboard with your mulch application. Aim for a layer of 2 to 3 inches around the base of your okra plants. Being careful not to cover the stems or leaves. And timing is key, my friends. Wait until the soil has warmed up in the spring before adding your mulch. You don't want to delay your plant's growth by preventing the soil from warming up properly. After applying your mulch, give your plants a good watering to help settle it into place. And remember, maintenance is important too. You'll need to periodically add more mulch to maintain that 2 to 3 inch layer. And remove any weeds that pop up through the mulch. Tip number 8. Thin out the seedlings. Next, we're talking about thinning out your okra seedlings. No, not thinning out your waistline. We're talking about thinning out your plants so they can grow big and strong. Once your seedlings have sprouted and have their first true leaves, it's time to thin them out. Give them some personal space by spacing them 6 to 12 inches apart. We all need some space, right? Why is this important, you ask? Overcrowding can stunt growth and decrease your yield. And we don't want that, do we? Timing is everything, so wait until your seedlings have developed their first true leaves. That's usually about 2 to 3 weeks after planting. When thinning, gently pull out the smaller or weaker plants, leaving the strongest and healthiest ones to grow. It's like a plant version of survival of the fittest. And what about the seedlings you remove? Toss them out or add them to your compost pile, as long as they're disease-free. No need to hold a plant funeral. After thinning, water your remaining plants well to help them recover from the stress of losing their neighbors. And keep watering and fertilizing them regularly to promote healthy growth and fruit production. So go ahead, give your okra seedlings some space and watch them thrive. Tip number 9. Watch for pests and diseases. The following tip will discuss how to watch out for pests and diseases when growing okra. It may sound like a bummer, but trust me, it's better to catch them early before they ruin your harvest. Okra is unfortunately prone to pests like aphids, spider mites, and stink bugs, as well as diseases such as powdery mildew and bacterial leaf spot. But don't worry, we've got some solutions for you. Let's start with aphids. These little guys can gather on the underside of leaves and suck the sap out of your plant, resulting in stunted growth and twisted leaves. Not a good look, but you can control them by spraying your plants with a strong stream of water, insecticidal soap, or neem oil. Spider mites are another pesky problem. Although they're too tiny to see with the naked eye, you can spot their presence by the webbing on your leaves. They can cause yellowing and mottling, but don't fret. You can control them by spraying with insecticidal soap or neem oil. Now onto stink bugs. These little stinkers can puncture your okra pods, making them look like they went through a war zone. But you can handpick them or use insecticides labeled for stink bug control to keep them at bay. Powdery mildew is a common fungal disease that appears as a white powdery coating on your leaves. Not only does it look gross, but it can turn your leaves yellow and cause them to fall off. But no need to stress, just remove any infected parts and apply a fungicide labeled for powdery mildew control. Last but not least, bacterial leaf spot. This disease causes dark, water-soaked spots on your leaves, which eventually turn brown and crispy. Not appetizing at all, but you can control it by removing infected parts and using a copper-based fungicide. Remember, prevention is the best medicine. planting disease-resistant varieties, rotating crops, and keeping your garden clean can help prevent these issues from occurring in the first place. Tip number 10. Harvest regularly. Welcome to stay tuned for our final tip for growing okra successfully. And it's a juicy one. Harvest regularly. Don't be like me and wait until the pods are the size of your arm. Trust me, it's not a good look. Instead, pick your okra when the pods are tender and about 2 to 4 inches long. This will ensure that your plants keep producing more okra for you to enjoy. Make sure you use a sharp knife or pruning shears to cut the pods off the plant without damaging the plant or surrounding pods. And please, for the love of all that is green and leafy, wear gloves to protect your hands from the prickly okra plants. The frequency of harvesting depends on the growth rate of your okra plants. During peak season, you may need to harvest every day or every other day to keep up with the production. And once you've harvested your okra, handle them gently to avoid bruising or damaging them. Keep them cool and dry until you're ready to cook with them. Okra can be stored in the refrigerator for up to a week. But if you want to prolong their storage time, blanch the pods for 3 to 4 minutes and freeze them in an airtight container. So, there you have it, 10 tips for growing okra successfully. I hope you found these tips helpful and informative. With a little patience and care, you can grow a bountiful crop of this delicious and nutritious vegetable. And who knows, maybe you'll become the next okra master chef. Thank you for subscribing to our channel and liking and commenting on our videos. We hope you found these tips helpful, and we encourage you to share your own tips and experiences in the comments section below. Happy gardening, my friends!